Asante sana for joining us for another classic episode of the Weekend Edition. I'm your host, Dr. Kingori. Today we bring you a very interesting story, survival.
The journey from Goma to Kisangani was the toughest of all experiences, because that's where you could see people being eaten by crocodiles. Yeah.
You have seen people being eaten by crocodiles?
Yes. You try to cross a river, you don't know the rules of that river. And then all of a sudden there are crocodiles there. So now it was a fight between the eater and the one being eaten. It's either you eat the crocodile, you catch it on time so that you take it back home for your meal, or it eats you. So animals were eating people and people were eating animals. For example, we could eat crocodiles, snakes, snails, and these machuras. Yeah. Even bamboo trees. People could eat bamboo trees. Yeah.
Uko na chura kwa system. That's Abiyah Pascal. He's on the show with a very powerful story. We will be talking to him in a bit, but first, so much to discuss. Kenyans spent a better part of this week making fun of a man who decided to follow his heart.
Don't run! Murife! Murife, don't run! Hey! Murife, don't run!
Now, in my opinion, Murife did what he thought was best for him under the circumstances. But then again, you also cannot blame those women for giving Murife options. My problem is the people who come up with these ideas on how to react to animal attacks. We actually did an episode where we featured Collins McLister, and he explains where the women inciting Murife not to run were coming from. Na hizi behavior za wanyama zinakuanga legit vile watu usema. Ati kwanza moja curious sana ndi ati nyuki zikikuja kukuuma ulale, ujifeintishe, ujifanye.
Okay, kuna vitu zingine zenye si tulipata wazee wakitumia ambapo some works, naona. Kuna zingine zinafanya kazi kama hiyo kulala, hiyo unaweza lala by the way.
Na hizi still on psychology ya wanyama, kuna vitu tulikuwa na discuss, unaniambia ati haufai kuangalia, ukiangalia simba mnafaa kuangalia na hivi kama wanaume.
Instinct ya wanyama ya kwanza, mnyama huwa ana read fear. Unaona, mnyama akisha read fear huwa ana attack. So the first thing unapata simba, hata ukipatana na simba ama ikikuata behind the fence, inakuangalia kwa uso direct. So ukiblink kama uangalie chini, simba ndio huwa anafikiria ku attack.
Ukikuwa mshy unakuliwa.
Ukikuwa mshy inakuattack. Kwa sababu inajua maybe kuna kitu yenye umeona yenye utaigonga kwanza. Juu wanyama wanajua sisi brain yetu inakuanga very smart than them.
Wanyama wanajua.
Wanyama wanajua. That's why unapata wanyama wa porini kuna enmity between them and humans. Mnyama anaweza behave different akipatana na mnyama mwenzake but si binadamu.
Kwa hivyo ni wivu, juu si ni machopi as in.
Sio.
Now, whatever you do with that information is up to you. But one thing for sure is that the society has such high expectations from cowards. My psychological interpretation of the thought process of whoever comes up with these ideas, ati kama kulala kifudifudi ukiumwa na nyuki, is that most animals don't appreciate their food moving around when eating. Now, sometimes you just have to work. Just keep that in mind. Now, asking Murife not to run is like a scenario I know most of you can relate with. Ile umetembelea mtu alafu unapata mtoto anacheza na kisu alafu zinamtuma kwako na yeye anza kukudunga na anko, alafu mama yake anamwambia usimnyang'anye atalia. In other news, following the reaction from the suspension of 10 cooking oil brands by the Kenya Bureau of Standards, we have to conclude that Kenyans will complain about everything. Watu wana complain hata serikali ikipunguza mafuta. And speaking of the government, there were reports that upon President William Ruto's ascension to power, there was only 93 million shillings left in the treasury. Which begs the question, kwani ile 200 million ya DP Rigathi ilikuwa imewekwa wapi? Well, not long after that information went public, another report was released claiming that President Uhuru's administration spent 4 million shillings daily. 4M kila siku. That is too high for a government that could not bring 2M into the country in 5 years. Now, to the government's defense, the outgoing PS in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Macharia Kamau, recently claimed that having too many Twitter followers could affect your visa application.
Just your Twitter handle has got 1 million people. Huh? that is enough to trigger the fact that you are now a politically exposed personality.
Now, if having too many followers can affect your chances za kuenda majuu, then it explains why Jesus is not that widely accepted in China. In other news, President William Ruto this week named his cabinet, but as usual, there were complaints that many people had been left out. Sadly, the people complaining do not realize that even if you do not make it to be a minister in President William Ruto's cabinet, there's still room to join Madam Rachel Ruto's ministry.
This is not just the last service we are having. You will be coming here month after month to give thanks to the Lord because he has done us good.
Exactly. Now that said, the guest we have today has very good vibes, and one of the things that stand out for me is how he presents the idea of true value of money. As in, honestly, there's a chance that you are richer than you think, you just don't know it. Abiyah Pascal joins us on the other end of this short commercial break. See you guys in a bit. Deep inside, my imagination is running wild with questions like, how much is a sperm donor paid in Kenya?
From 500,000 and above, that is just the compensation.
Siku hizi watu wabai kitu ndani, that's the challenge. In fact, that's partly where the question is coming from.
I can drop direct.
Umeenda through hiyo nini yote, umeacha specimen yako hapo alafu hakuna mtu anaitaka.
How do you elect a sperm to fertilize an egg? Because I'm sure you don't pour them on the eggs ati yote hivi kama blueband.
Unapata umewekewa magazine.
A monkey has to be choked.
An assignment.
That donors don't have fun.
If it's the act alone, manze, you're having fun, so
There's no extras that is happening.
Manze, welcome back to the weekend edition. I'm your host Dr. Kingori. Episode yetu ya leo tuko na story ya uzito sana. Our focus ni story ya survival. Wapi makofi ya Pascal kwanza? Asante. Pascal, ambia wa Kenya kwanza, jintroduce vile inafaa.
Okay, kwa majina naitwa Abiyah Pascal Yibnia, born in Rwanda, raised in Congo, brought up in Kenya, but I'm a Burundian with other mixture of background that I cannot mention. I'm a cocktail of every tribe. I speak 9 languages. Okay. As a my wife is a Kenyan.
You speak 9 languages, and at some point, when you're descendant of the Jews, sindio?
Yes,
na Jews ni wazungu.
Yeah.
How far down the chain are you?
I don't know. I really can't tell where it all started.
Okay.
You know?
The Jewish background.
Yes.
Because you faded uko chini kabisa.
Sasa venye ulikuwa una mention hiyo story ya 4 minutes. Yes. Sasa kwetu ni chain ya vitu zingine tofauti. Maybe tribes. For example, we have our family members from almost all over. We have them in Uganda, in Tanzania, in Kenya, in Rwanda, in Burundi, in Congo, in US, South Africa, like every place.
Who's the top man?
I don't know.
You just have rumors about Mali.
So we have so many rumors of people who are related to us. Okay. Some of them, when we meet, we don't even know them. Okay. So tunaambiwa tu huyo ni dada ya mama ya shangazi ya sister ya mama ya dada yake.
Then so how did you know you're not related to your wife?
That's the point. You know, the moment I took my wife to my parents' home, because I had to go home and introduce her to my family, people are questioning, namna fanana, are you sure you guys are not related? Even in their family, they were saying, are you sure this one is not one of you? Kasema huu ni wa nchi ingine, so we cannot be related. So that was how we came to know that we were not related. Based on the fact that we were born in different nations and the experience were totally different. For instance, I was born in a place where there was a lot of problems, and my transitioning up to this time, it's not been easy. So, of course, for them, they were born in a land where there was milk and honey, you know, kuna maziwa ya nyayo, watu walikuwa nakunywa. There was a lot of things that was good as compared to how I was brought up in my own life experience.
And that's what we are interested in.
Yeah.
Can we start with your lowest moment in life?
You have heard about Congo Forest, but you don't know what Congo Forest is until you get inside. Maybe at this time they have built roads inside that forest, but the moment you enter the Congo forest, you will never see the sky until you get out for like 3 weeks walking by foot. Now
you experience that?
Yes. The only thing that will alert you that it is daylight are birds. That there are some birds which used to shake their wings, and you will know it's daytime, let's go. Then you follow the line and all that. Yeah.
And what kind of human interactions happen at such a tense moment? Do you find like through the journey at Congo Forest, you will still get people who got pregnant?
Now, you know,
I just want to understand
the fact that in the Congo Forest there are people, it means there are families inside there. For instance, you could exchange salt with gold. You give people salt, they give you gold. But where are you taking the gold?
Wait.
But I don't have
exchange As in, you could exchange salt for gold.
Yeah.
But there is nowhere to take the gold.
Where will you sell the gold? You are in the deep forest. You know, people, you know, human beings are funny. People could carry their motorcycles, they carry their TVs on the head, but the moment they realize how vast the forest was, they realize all these things are vanity. Yeah, and that's why I always congratulate Kenyans. I don't know if we have arrived to that, but Kenyans need to be patriotic with their nation. You guys need to love your nation. You don't know what you have until you lose it.
I was almost asking you what you carry from your home country, but then you mentioned something about losing education. Please clarify that.
I finished primary school here after losing some moments for going to school. That is the season for schooling. My primary school, I finished it at 18 years. Form 4, I finished at 22 years. So
you finished as a teacher?
I finished as a student. And then, you know, since you have to rely on well-wishers, you have to rely on organs like the United Nations, you know, and some people don't trust you. The United Nations will hear your story and say, no, you are lying. You can't be a refugee. You are not a refugee, you know. So for you to prove your case is always difficult to some people, because of course there are also people who take advantage to go and speak. And there are many times I've wished I could have a place or an opportunity to speak to the United Nations, because it's like they don't really understand the experiences. First, the psychological effect of people who have gone through such traumas. You know, you can give people food, you can give, but the psychological effect, you know, we need to tell people to come as diplomats of peace, but we also have to be agents of hope. Like in the nation right now, we are talking about peace, but we also have to bring in the aspect of hope. Are we giving hope in that peace? Because you can have peace, you can tell people, even the Bible says in the book of Jeremiah 29:11, I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and to give you hope, to give you a future and hope. So if there is only peace in a place where there is no hope, even a dead man is resting at peace.
Okay, that's a very powerful thing you say. I'll take you back, Kidogo, to where you talked about vanity.
Yes.
People carrying things from their home country.
Yeah.
How is this journey going? Like when war breaks out, how much can you carry? And like the deepest lesson in that?
When you lose your peace, when people begin to fight, you know, sometimes people think when war breaks out, you know, we will go this side and the others will be the majority, will beat them. But you see, when war occurs, there's vandalism. There's a lot of businesses that will just lose that business season. There are, like in Kenya, you have a very effective tourism industry. That industry will not work. So you find that people will lose economically. They will also lose socially. And you see, when you go in another country, you will not feel the same way you are feeling right now. Like here you are hosting a show as Dr. King'ori. I can't come there and sit and say, today I'm sitting in for Dr. King'ori. No, because you will lose a lot of stuff. You will lose a lot of relevance even in other countries. Right now, as Africans, we are arguing about the GDP. These people are saying we are greater than Burundi, we are greater than Rwanda, we are greater than Uganda, and all of us are dwarfs, arguing about which dwarf is taller than the other. So we really need to come together as a people and ask ourselves, what are we fighting for? Because what you are saying, what are vanity things? Vanity things like cars. Where will you drive your BMW in Congo Forest? Where will you drive it? Even if you had a fight, or even NTV, where will NTV function in the forest?
You had people stuck with 65-inch TVs in Congo.
People were carrying their TVs, people were carrying their luggages as if there's an aeroplane there which will carry them. But to their surprise, people were just throwing their TVs. You could see them. And one of the greatest things that happened is that my father was the only person who was wearing a very valuable item on his feet. And do you know what that was? A polythene paper.
At what point?
Because now you see, you have walked and walked, some of you have walked barefoot, or you have walked with shoes and those shoes got torn on the way. And then in your packings you realize we have polythene paper. So since our dad was the pacemaker and we were so young, one of our sisters was actually a baby, was being carried at the back, so she could cry and we were like, hey, msichana sasa atatuuza. No, of course with a different language, you know. So it was a real bother. So that polythene paper for him was very valuable. Somebody would even buy it. Unaweza niuzia hiyo polythene paper yako, you know. So what you are looking at, your cloth, you know, God says, Jesus says, do not be anxious about what you will eat, what you will put on, or where you will sleep. For the birds of the air, they do not sow, but they eat. The lilies of the field, they do not make any clothes. But Jesus says, even in the glory of Solomon, nobody had clothing like those of flowers. So there are things we miss out in life because for us we think that our identity is on social media, when we get so many likes, when we pose, when we take a photo close to a Range Rover. Let me tell you, if things go wrong, that Range Rover can become something else. Maybe it will be a luxurious toilet because people will go and help themselves inside that motor car.
In a Range Rover?
Yeah, Range Rover.
You've said something that I had a debate with someone over.
Yeah.
We were discussing the value of money.
Yes.
We were talking about you could be a billionaire, say $1 billion shillings in the desert, and someone comes with a bottle of water. The value of the $1 billion shillings is equitable to the need you have at the moment. This person could sell you the bottle of water for 1 billion shillings. You also mentioned that you could exchange salt for gold, but you could not take this gold anywhere. It was valueless.
Yes.
What did such experiences teach you about the value of money today?
For me, I always think money is an illusion that distracts us from living our real life. For example, you need unga. If I give you money, our bishop always says that money is an entity of exchange. I really don't know the exact word. But when you have money, what you need is clothes. You need water. You need food. So in the forest, those transactions were not available. So it was like barter trade, or if you don't get a chance to get what you feel like is something you can consume, you invent something. You know, necessity is the mother of invention. So you will find people taking barks of trees and with some ideas, and they make something for their feet and they are walking with it. So there was a lot of discoveries, not discoveries for research, but discoveries for good survival, because you need to survive. So you have to do everything possible to survive.
And how from where you sit,
Yeah.
how have your experiences in the journey that you have taken, let's say your journey of life, shaped how you relate to people today?
For me, I don't look down on anybody. I don't look down on anybody, because life can give you a lesson and you wonder. I don't know what people take life for, but somebody who is in the audience today here might be the president, the next president. You never know, you know, because in this life there is no black, there is no white, there is no Hindu, there is no Christian, there is no Muslim. Everyone, God said, let us create man in our own image and likeness. I know for people who know God, they can relate with this. But I'm hearing nowadays there are people who don't believe in God, because they were also there. And I don't call them fools. David says, the fool says in his heart, there is no God. But when you go through some challenges in life, you will know for sure there is God. And I can tell you, in Kenya, you are experiencing the move of God. And if you don't discern and know that God loves you, just the way he gave Israel time to discern, if you miss it, you will never get it that easily.
General lesson on humanity?
General lesson on humanity. There is God. That is my general lesson.
You know what's interesting about your story is you talk about eating a crocodile or being eaten, talk about the Congo forest experience, but still your lowest moment ni kuokoka.
I can tell you that for sure, because you see, if you are born a lion, or let's say not a lion because it's the chaser, if you are born an antelope, running away from lions is not unusual. It's like your lifestyle. But for you to be adopted by a human being who puts you in a cave, brings you food, and then later slays you for dinner or for a celebration, that's a different thing. I don't know how I compose that one.
Manze. Hiyo ni nzito sana. The difference is the same.
Yeah. So for a
either
lion,
you be eaten by a lion immediately,
yes,
or be eaten by a human being at a later date.
Yes. So what I'm saying is, I'm trying to bring sense to your question, in that there's a lifestyle you are used to, and it doesn't bother you anymore.
Bottom line is you will be eaten. The difference is
bottom
when.
line is, because now you see, when you take a wild animal from the forest, it breathes and says, hawa watu wananiletea hadi chakula. I don't even need to graze. They are bringing me the food here.
And there's a point of fatness they want you to get
yes
to.
So our leaders, we need to pray for our leaders, because they take us from a forest with the mentality of telling us what they will do for us. And then they feed us. They give us some room there, they feed us. The feeding is their words, they are good words. But then, when they get the opportunity to get a guest, they prepare the fattest calf.
Yes, that's very powerful, and it also correlates to the friend zone. Now, asante sana. That's it for the weekend edition. See you next week. My name is Dr. Kingori.